Why do new cars go unsold for months or even years? And what happens to them when no one wants them? Well, I'm gonna let you in on industry secrets, so let's dive in. Okay, right off the bat, let's talk about why these cars are sitting. And first, overproduction. Car manufacturers don't build cars based on how many people want them at the exact moment. They build them based on forecasts, predictions of what people might buy. But sometimes they guess wrong. Maybe they thought everyone was gonna go nuts for the latest four-door sedan, but in reality, people were all about SUVs. Now, you've got a bunch of sedans just sitting there, lonely and unwanted. Why does that hit home for me? Anyways, another big reason is the fact that consumer trends change super fast. Remember when hybrid cars were all the rage and how now it's all about EVs just a few years later? And even now, EVs are hitting the wall in demand and the market is shifting back towards hybrids? Weird, right? What was hot last year might not be as hot anymore. So certain models become yesterday's news real quick. Plus, some trims and colors just aren't what people want. Like, sorry, but not everyone is rushing to buy whatever this color is called. I'm gonna call it, Dijon mustard? What do you think it is? Only wrong answers only down in the comments below. Okay, and this next big one ties in with the last point on trends changing, oversaturation. That sometimes there's just too many of a certain type of car in a certain area. Like if dealerships order way too many compact cars in a town where everyone drives trucks, well, guess what? Those little guys are gonna sit there for a very long time. So what do dealerships do when they've got cars that just won't sell? They get creative. Let's talk about it. All right, so dealerships have a few tricks up their sleeves when it comes to moving these cars off their lot. And some of these tricks actually work in your favor and my favor, which we'll get to in just a second. But for now, let's just break it down. The first and most obvious one is price cuts. If a car sits for way too long, well, dealerships are gonna start slashing prices like it's Black Friday. You might even see manufacturer rebates, low interest financing, and even cashback deals. The longer it sits, the better the deals are gonna get. Another trick up their sleeve, yeah, I'm not wearing sleeves, but is that some of these new cars magically become used cars. How? Dealerships put them into service as loaner vehicles. You know, the ones that you get when your car's up for repairs. After a few months, these loaner cars will get sold as used, even though they barely have any miles on them. And that means that you could score a basically brand new vehicle for thousands less. And oh, here's one that most people just don't think about. Dealership employees sometimes get assigned unsold cars to drive around. That means managers and sales staff are rolling around in brand new vehicles. And once their time's up, those cars hit the lot as pre-owned models with a juicy discount. But what if the car still doesn't sell? Well, that's when things get really interesting. You see, when dealerships are really desperate to offload a car, they send it to an auction site. These are massive events where dealerships buy and sell cars in bulk, often at rock bottom prices. Ever heard of Mannheim or Odessa? Yeah, they are like the Costco of car sales. But here is the thing. You just can't waltz into one of these auctions, unfortunately. You need to be a registered dealer. That means the cars are getting picked up by other dealerships or even rental companies, and then they resell them, sometimes at a loss. But even at this advanced step of the unsold car story, there are still a few new cars slipping through the cracks. Cars that even auction goers might pass up on because they don't think that they'd be able to get rid of it. And well, these are the biggest problems for dealers. And here's something that a lot of people, they just don't think about. Keeping a car on a lot, it costs the dealership money. Every day it sits there, the dealership is paying interest on the loan that they took out to get the car in the first place. And those costs, well, they add up real fast. And dealerships don't own their inventory outright. They finance it, kind of like you would with a car. And that means every time an unsold car is racking up monthly interest charges and maintenance charges that they have to handle themselves, well, it gets pretty costly. And if a car sits for a year, that could mean thousands of dollars in carrying costs alone. The longer it sits, the less it's worth. A brand new car from last year isn't as valuable as this year's model. So the dealership has to cut their losses at some point. And that's why we see companies like Stellantis, who has Dodge, Ram, and Jeep selling products that are brand new from 2023 and 2025 for pennies on the dollar. Yeah, get that 392 Jeep Wrangler for 50% off. I mean, you've all heard the joke about, you know, how new cars depreciate the second that they leave the lot, but this is depreciation before it even touches a customer's hands. Wild, huh? But among all the doom and gloom for the dealership, there are huge money-saving opportunities for folks like you and me. So let's talk about how you can flip this script in your favor. First, ask what the oldest car on the lot is. This is one of the best hacks of getting a crazy good deal. See, dealerships don't advertise this, but every single car on their lot has a birthday. That date is when it arrived, and the longer it's been sitting there, the more desperate they are going to be to get rid of it. Why? Because the car is costing them money every single day, like I said earlier. So here's what you gotta do. First, sign up for the Ideal Car Strategies free workshop, which I've linked in the pinned first comment below. Now, once you're armed with all that great free information, when you do walk into a dealership, don't just ask for a specific model, ask for the oldest one that they have in stock. Yes, chances are it's been sitting there for months, maybe even close to a year, and guess what? That dealership wants it gone. And when a dealership really wants something gone, not only are they willing to negotiate more, but they essentially are now on your side. They'll start pulling out discounts and money-saving perks that you wouldn't have even thought of before stepping in the door. And if they don't do that, well, you have the leverage to haggle, because your biggest ace is the fact that they will never get rid of this car unless you buy it today. Next, look for loaner cars. Yeah, and here is the trick. They're technically used, but they've barely been driven. So what does that mean for you? Well, huge savings. These cars can have anywhere from a couple hundred to a few thousand miles on them. But because they've been titled once, and remember, that's when the warranty starts. So just make sure they haven't been titled like 2 years ago and now you're buying it thinking you have the whole warranty. But once it's been titled, it can't be sold as a new car anymore. So dealerships have to drop the price, sometimes by thousands of dollars. Plus, most of them are still under factory warranty, like I said, and since dealerships take pretty good care of these cars on their own, they're basically, well, you're getting a brand new one with a used price and a little bit less of a warranty. Make sure about that warranty. If you're looking to save big, but still want the new car feeling, I think this is totally the move. And okay, real quick, I got a question for you. What is the absolute best time to buy? I'll give you a second. The end of the year, more specifically, late December. Why? Because dealerships are scrambling to clear out their inventory before the new year. Car manufacturers have sales quotas that they have to hit, and so do individual dealerships. If they have too many cars from the current model year just sitting around when January rolls in, that is a problem. That's why December is a gold mine for discounts. You'll see huge price cuts, crazy financing deals, and all kinds of special offers as dealers try to move these cars fast. And if you're looking for the best deal, we'll go shopping the last week of the year, especially on New Year's Eve. That's when dealers are under the most pressure to hit the numbers, and they'll be willing to make deals they normally wouldn't. Walk in with confidence, be ready to negotiate, and you might walk out with an absolute steal. So, next time you're shopping for a new car, just remember, unsold cars don't just vanish. They are out there, man. I mean, you play your cards right, you can snag an incredible deal for an ideal deal. So if you enjoyed this vid, give it a like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and check out the Ideal Car Strategies free workshop down here. Also, check out these Ideal vids over here. I'm Brad, this is Ideal. We'll catch you next week, and promise me one thing, keep living the ideal lifestyle.